So while talking it up about cars with metas, I had gone over my ye old Hermit Purple connection to Hamon and Stand Science in general video thing. But it's been an extremely long time since then, about 6 years, and a lot of my new viewers probably don't even know about this whole thing and my theories on how broken Ultimate cars could have been. So I honestly wanted to go about that today. For those caught up, the way that Ball Breaker is the visualization of spin, Hermit Purple is exactly like that for Hamon. That should be easy enough to understand. Now for those who aren't caught up, Hermit Purple is depicted as a set of vines that wrap around Joseph's body, symbolizing how the Hamon flows through his entire being. This visualization helps convey the idea that Hamon is a life energy that flows through the body and can be harnessed for various purposes. So basically, Hermit Purple is a visual representation of Joseph's Hamon ability, and it's a way for the viewers to see how Hamon is being utilized. Now, this idea is from Araki's special quote in Volume 9 of JoJonium. This is not some headcanon thing. Araki said this, and consider this too. This is Araki long after Stardust Crusaders. This JoJonium was released in 2014 in Japan. There's a lot of time to think about that since then. Now here's the thing, it puts into question every Hamon user we've ever seen. From our interpretation of this quote, or I guess mine, while we'd see what looks like Hermit Purple, it doesn't necessarily mean it's awakened. It's technically just a visualization or maybe some sort of dormant stand with its potential ability to activate. That's the interpretation now, because we didn't see Hermit Purple in parts 1 and 2, but again, here's the issue with that. Araki got the idea of stands later on. So the established parts that we already have are put into question, especially since we don't see traditional Hamon users in later parts because, that went out the window. So as that becomes a Joseph specific thing, that's just the world carrying on. But here's the thing with that. Now because of it and this idea, we do have two truly odd moments with what Araki had said. Those things in question, for me at least, are when William Zeppeli's future was predicted by Tom Petty, and when Joseph acts out of his instinct while he was just beaten and broken against cars, So my theory, it's a theory now because it can't really get proven because we're done with that. My theory is that once you reach a level of Hamon mastery, you can awaken the stand that we recognize as Hermit Purple. In addition to that, based on the strength and the potency of the Hamon user, that stand can improve or weaken. It falls into the same idea of how some people can just naturally develop stands, and we know that that's a thing. For example, with this in terms of the improving and weakening thing, Joseph in his old age had a less potent Hermit Purple compared to the one attached to Jonathan's body that has Dio, because it retained its age and just all good things due to Dio's immortality, and most likely still holds, Hamon reserves, and just in some sort of like post-mortem way reminiscent of Zeppeli and like how they had that whole thing going on like that. And Tom Petty is a grand master of Hamon. So then imagine him having this extremely potent Hermit Purple that would allow him to see into the future, because that makes sense, because Hermit Purple is divine information. It's pretty odd. It's like, oh man, maybe that does explain how he was able to see the future, because when you connect over to the other parts of JoJo, a lot of things are put into question, but at the same time, we do have that fortune teller in part 5. That was interesting, but okay. So the theory that's attached to this other theory, all right? I'm a creative guy. Let's consider this. Ultimate Cars had already outdone Joseph Joestar in his prime with just testing out and just looking about how he can go about his understanding of Hamon. Like, he tried it out and he outdid Joseph. If left alone, not only would he develop the greatest Hamon of all time, like definitively for sure. I mean, it already pretty was definitive, but like, let's put that to the side. He'd be the greatest Hamon user of all time. But with that in mind, ideally, he would have the most unreasonable version of Hermit Purple to ever exist. Because let's say this, like you go back in time, you go see Tom Petty, like the stand user see Tom Petty, you're gonna see Hermit Purple around his body, and oh, maybe that's why he gets to see into the future. Now, if you have Ultimate Cars, who has the most potent of all things, who knows what he could have done? Like, he would have been the most broken stand user ever because he would have the highest version of divine information. That's past seeing the future. Who knows what he could see? With room to grow in addition to that too, because he could have done all types of stuff with it. And additionally, he could have developed a different stand that doesn't even correlate to Hamon, because remember, he still hadn't been pierced with the arrow, and there's still the other ways of going about getting a stand. So, if left alone, Cars could have Hermit Purple and a stand additionally, like, you know, with room to get pierced again potentially, you know, because say, hey, he gets pierced by a stand arrow, he can most likely get pierced again, just like how Kira did, and maybe get an additional ability, unlocking further stuff. You know, it sounds wild, yes, I get it, you know, it's a zany thing, it's headcanon, yada yada yada, but I hope that my idea is getting put across, you know, like this stuff isn't coming from nothing. And I do get it, it's another Kaleb rambling session, you know, I've seen some people talk like that, but y'all, there are so many possibilities with this, and it would also further the use of Hamon, but you know, like if we're using it, but again, Hamon is a thing of the past now. In addition to that whole part of JoJo is a thing of the past now, so all we could really do is just maybe some fan fiction stuff and, you know, what's going on with the whole Horus and Josuke story. But I do love the idea of just going back to parts 1 and 2 and maybe just extending that whole side of it, maybe even going backwards and just seeing the people before then, because man, we live in a world of JoJo where there wasn't any stands, and now if you go back, there's a lot to be put into question. But yeah, as it is in this current day, we can think about this visualization of Hamon as a dormant stand, but you know, as a retcon, it's very possible that young Joseph Joestar had always been using Hermit Purple alongside being this Sherlock Holmes-esque super sleuth. You can refer to my other video about that, but you know, I did that. But yeah, it's a pretty cool concept in JoJo. I wish we had more like it. I feel like JoJo is one of those parts, or just one of those animes that just, there's a lot of people that really do like it, and there's a lot to theory craft and but the issue is we don't really get the most to work with in terms of that type of stuff, and the games don't really reflect that either, and we only really delved into the heaven aspect, and I really wish that there was more that we could have done. But yeah, that's, you know, I'm good with not having a new power system every part, you know, I'm fine with just Hamon and stands as it is, but because we do get new powerful stands every time, so I'm not overly pressed about it. But thank you all for watching. I love doing this type of, I guess, theory crafting, just stuff. It's really fun. Hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, peace out and Godspeed.